What you see right behind me is Westside Lumber Company 9.
Westside Lumber Company 9 was built by Lima Locomotive Works in Lima, Ohio, 1923, and is the 3199th steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 3-truck shay type steam locomotive. This locomotive was originally used for the Hetch Hetchy and Yosemite Valley Railway, located in Tuolumne, California, and it always had this number. Then, in 1925, it was sold to the Pickering Lumber Company and kept the number. Then, it was sold to the Westside Lumber Company in Tuolumne, California in 1934 and again kept the number. And for many years, it hauled lumber on the Westside Lumber Company as well. Also, the locomotive was a logging locomotive for many years when it served the line. Then in the 1960s, when the logging railroad closed, this locomotive and other locomotives that worked the Westside Lumber Company were retired and sat idle. It stayed in the spot till 1966 when it was bought by the Midwest Central Railroad in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. And also it was carried to Mount Pleasant, Iowa by a railroad flat car on a freight train over 3 different railroads across the country. But the flat car was carried from the camp to the Southern Pacific Railroad by the Sierra Railroad, and which the Southern Pacific brought it to Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was transported by the Denver and Rio Grande till it got to Denver, and was then transported by the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad all the way. When it arrived in the town, it was then carried to the Thresher Park by 2 house movers, which went back to back, which was kind of tough to get it all the way to the park. But with many efforts, it made it to its new home safely. The locomotive has operated on the Midwest Central Railroad in Mount Pleasant, Iowa since then. When it arrived at its new home, it was repainted with a red stripe and the tender was lettered Midwest Central. In the 1990s, it was being repainted to its Westside Lumber Company livery. In 1998, some extensive work took place on the locomotive. Then in 2008, it was reunited with its original number plate, which was in a display case at Yosemite Mountain Sugar Pine Railroad in Fish Camp, California. And it came to Iowa to be repainted and remounted on the smoke box door for the first time since like the 1960s. In 2011, the Georgetown Loop Railroad and the Midwest Central Railroad made a lease agreement to swap 2 steam engines, which is this one, along with the Georgetown Loop, swapping Kahului Railroad Prairie 262, number 12 to the Midwest Central, with 9 going to the Georgetown Loop Railroad. And also, when the locomotive arrived at the Georgetown Loop, it was being overhauled, and then in 2012 it entered service on the railroad. Then till 2018 it stopped running on the railroad and was stored at the Georgetown Loop Railroad outdoors and awaited to be moved back to Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Then the lease ended. The locomotive then returned to the Midwest Old Threshers grounds at McMillan Park in Mount Pleasant, Iowa in midsummer of 2019. It then operated on the Midwest Central Railroad in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, which started on the first day of the Midwest Old Threshers reunion that year and operated on the tracks once again. Also, it even needed driveline work to be done on it before the 2021 reunion would happen and was operating that time as well. In 2022, a bearing inside one of the cylinders were found broken and it was soon fixed up. That same year, the locomotive wasn't steamed up and was taken out of service just before Midwest Old Threshers started that year. It needed repairs done on the boiler and firebox before it could be steamed up again. During the Midwest Old Threshers reunion in 2023, it would be parked in the shed during nightfall, but during hours of operations of Midwest Old Threshers throughout the event, it would get pulled out of the shed in honor of it turning 100 years old that year. In 2024, the contractors from the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad in Durango, Colorado, were contracted to come up to the Midwest Central Railroad and help with work on getting the locomotive back in operation, and it went on till the overhaul would be complete and they would only come up on certain days. Then, in 2025, just within a week before Midwest Old Threshers that year, it made steam for the first time since it was taken out of service in 2022, and it started operating on the railroad once again and was once again seen pulling trains. Also, Westside Lumber Company 9 is one of 7 remaining Westside Lumber Company shays surviving today, and they are all 3-truck shays. And 9 is also here at the Midwest Central Railroad in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and also it operates on the tracks today as well.